Recent acts from Elon Musk and President Trump have caused a divide in responses from constituents at GOP lawmakers' town halls across the country. We welcome former Arizona GOP Congressman Matt Salmon to Arizona Horizon to discuss what this disconnection means for Republicans. Welcome back. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
So let's talk first of all, how would you react when you were in Congress, if you were still in Congress today, to get sort of the angry reaction we're getting, at least at this point?
So I held a lot of town hall meetings when I was a congressman. In fact, it was very, very important to me. I believe very, very strongly in our system of government, which is a republic. And that means that we send representatives to represent the people from the districts that are sent to the U.S. House of Representatives, the People's House. And they are responsible for doing the will of the voters that sent them. And so when I did my return and report, there were many, many times when voters would share their discomfort with something that was going on. And if you don't listen to your voters, you do that at your own peril. That's what you're there for. You're there to be their representative. And so you better take very seriously what they have to say.
So one thing that's come up from the more conservative side of the Republican Party is that there are people who've been sent in to these meetings to raise concerns that really aren't concerns of voters, that these are liberal groups going in there. And that may or may not be the case in certain situations, but overall it does seem like voters have questions about this. In general, without casting aspersions on anyone specific, what do you make of that sort of answer back to say, oh, well, these aren't really the constituents saying it? So because constituents, if they have concerns, they should be able to express them and not necessarily have it blamed on, oh, some liberal group is somehow infiltrating these things.
You know, there were a lot of times in some of my town hall meetings I would have loved to have said, they aren't really my constituents, they're from somewhere else. But the truth is, not everybody's going to be happy with the vote that you cast as a member of Congress. And your responsibility is to hear what they have to say. I also, one Saturday a month, I would invite for 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, I would invite people to come in with 5-minute increments to come in and tell me what was on their mind.
Okay.
And so I got to meet with a lot of different constituents, and I just think that's really incredibly important. And I think rather than, try to blame some kind of a conspiracy theory, I think that, members do need to listen to their constituents. If they don't, they're likely going to be called former congressmen in a few years.
One of the concerns we're hearing a lot about is how much power Elon Musk has at this point. And to some extent, one can understand that he's not elected. President Trump brought him in, and that's one thing. But as a former congressman, the power of the purse, having Doge go in there and make cuts willy-nilly, even if a lot of Republicans are like, we do need to make cuts, it does seem like even some of them are saying, wait a second, you're just cutting. You're not even thinking about what's being cut. If you were still in Congress, how would you feel about that?
Well, I have a couple of frustrations. One is that Congress is supposed to pass 12 different appropriation bills every year. And do you know how long it's been since they've done that? It's been over 20 years. When I was part of the class of 94 and I served during the 90s, not only did we pass a real budget every year, not continuing resolutions or omnibus bills, we passed real budgets. That meant that we had to go through each appropriation and scrutinize that and determine, what's obsolete, what's working, what's not, and make recommendations for how it should be funded. And we actually balanced the budget 3 years in a row. Hasn't been done only once in the last 100 years when I was there. I left, there was a $150 billion surplus. I'm thrilled that there is an idea of cutting government, but it has to be done the right way. When I say that, I taught high school seniors the Constitution, and they understand, just like everybody should, that Article 1 gives only one entity the power of the purse, and that's Congress.
Should members of Congress who are Republicans, we've heard a lot from Democrats, should some Republicans be saying some of these things, saying, even if they want to be on President Trump's side and people understand the politics of that, should they be speaking more out against what Elon Musk and Doge are doing?
So the Freedom Caucus was actually created for two purposes. One was, first and foremost, to adhere strictly to the Constitution. And number two is to cut wasteful spending and be fiscal hawks. They need to be speaking up when things aren't done by the Constitution. I'm a strict constitutionalist, and only one entity out of the three. Again, it's the legislative, the administrative, and the judicial. Only one of those entities has the power of the purse, And they are the ones that fund government, and they are the ones that cut government. And if they do it the right way, by doing an appropriation bill, and if they want to cut an agency, do it there. But the answer is not, we didn't vote for a monarchy. We still live in a constitutional democratic republic. And we need to do things the way that it's set up in the Constitution.
Are we going to get to a point where some of the cuts that Musk wants, and maybe approved by President Trump as well, it's almost, I know from a legal standpoint, from a constitutional standpoint, it won't be too late. But will perception make it too late if Congress decides to step in after Musk has decided to take the chainsaw to it?
Well, then it will kind of look like they're just along for the ride. And honestly, they need to be out there just as vocal about the things that are important to them. And let me get back to one of the things that you said, because you made the comment that Trump has pledged that nothing will be done with entitlement spending. Entitlement spending plus debt service is 75% of the federal budget. You cannot get to a balanced budget without dealing with entitlement spending. You cannot. And the boards that oversee Medicare and Social Security have said that within 10 years they go broke. So they better be focused on that.
Well, we only have a few seconds left, but I saw an ad recently, I think it was on Fox News actually, where it was an ad for Medicare, but in essence saying, well, Medicare's messed up because of Joe Biden. And this is after President Trump's already in office. It almost makes you feel like, are the strategists hedging against something? They say, well, if we have to cut Medicare, it's because of Biden.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some things that can and should be done. And I don't know that cuts have to happen to Medicare, but there have to be some changes to the way things are done. And with Social Security, there's going to have to be some changes to the way things are done. And if they don't address that, they will never get to a balanced budget, and they will never fix Social Security and Medicare. They've got to focus on that like a laser beam.
Okay. Former Congressman Matt Salmon, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.